My name's George.
I'm Travis.
And welcome to Sports Stuff 365.
Where we talk sports twice a week on our show and on our website. And this is our inaugural episode, but it's also our 2014 NFL season preview show.
And we have some real good, exciting stuff about your team.
Not just the sexy teams like the Patriots and the Broncos and the Packers. We're talking all 30 teams, in-depth projections, Super Bowl picks, and just great insight.
That's right. We can tell you if your team's a winner or a loser. Unfortunately, some are going to be losers.
And some are winners. And some will be surprising, and some will also be surprising in a bad way. And you'll just have to find out.
And you know what? We might be wrong. But we might be right.
Yeah. So, just hang with it, have fun, kick back, take an hour off, and enjoy the show.
That's right.
All right, and we'll start with our major 5 storylines for the entire NFL season. And our first major storyline is who are the surprise contenders for the NFL season.
Well, I have basically 3 teams. I have the Cleveland Browns, the Lions, and the Texans.
And why?
Well, I guess first off, the Texans, because they have a new coach who happens to be very fastidious. He also makes sure that their offense and defense try to minimize their mistakes and therefore their penalties.
For me, Houston, and I agree with him, Houston, their defense is going to be very, very good. Top 5, maybe even top 2.
Very good.
Watt, Clowney, it all hinges upon if Cushing has a healthy year, and so does Joseph. And Mallett is a huge upgrade over Fitzpatrick.
Oh, absolutely. And actually, their winning will depend on the quarterback and how consistent he will be.
Okay, on the subject of the Detroit Lions, Matt Stafford, I think, is the 5th best quarterback in the NFL. He is that wild card after the big 4 of Brady, Breeze, Peyton Manning, and Aaron Rodgers. He is number 5, in my opinion, is Matthew Stafford. Not Colin Kaepernick, not Russell Wilson. I think it is Matt Stafford. He's got a great group of skill position guys. Calvin Johnson, Eric Ebron, Golden Tate, Reggie Bush, Joy Bell, Brandon Pettigrew, Joseph Faria. Good defense in Ndamukong Suh, Darius Slay, Ziggy Ansah. It's a very, very, very good team. And their problem was penalties last year. Penalties.
Exactly.
Big mistake in Jim Schwartz. He is gone. They have Jim Caldwell, a disciplinarian coach, and I think that'll improve leap and bounds for the Detroit Lions.
That's true. Now, who's your other team?
My third surprise contender. Wait for it. Johnny Manziel fans? Yes, it's the Cleveland Browns. I don't even care if Johnny plays a snap this year. I love Brian Hoyer. I think he's a star. I think that Manziel, if he comes in, will play just as good. I love the acquisition of Ben Tate. I know Josh Gordon is a huge loss. But they got Jordan Cameron. Like Jordan Cameron. Good offensive line led by Joe Thomas. I think Barkevious Mingo is going to be a big step up for the Broncos, and their pass rush was a great rusher last year and wasn't even a starter most of the time. And I'm sorry, Richard Sherman. I think Joe Hayden is the best corner in the NFL, and he's been rightly paid so. I think the Browns, regardless of Manziel or Hoyer, they will move in. Whoever it is will move in to be a very good starter and will take the AFC North probably.
I agree, and other teams would kill to have a quarterback situation like theirs. Their quarterbacks are amazing.
Yes, they just cut Connor Shaw and Rex Grossman. There's some teams in the NFL that wish they had Rex Grossman or Connor Shaw to start, let alone be their third string. So, Manziel, he may have played bad in the preseason, so did Hoyer, but remember, the Colts went 0-4 in the preseason, and I know you people aren't talking bad about Andrew Luck, so calm down. It's the preseason. It means absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, switching gears from surprising contenders to the surprising regressors. Teams that go from playoff caliber to just downright stinky. Teams that are going to be picking in the top 10 in the draft. And
some teams don't even have to regress; they just stink.
Yeah, they just stink. One team I think that will regress though significantly, and I think you agree with me on here, is the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
Carson Palmer. Yes, they went 10-6 last year. They beat Seattle in Seattle, the only team to do that. That defense is very good with Patrick Peterson. I love him. But Carson Palmer stinks. He just stinks. Carson Palmer was horrible last year. He almost threw as many interceptions as touchdowns. I do like Malcolm Floyd at receiver. I do like Andre Ellington. And Larry Fitzgerald is Larry Fitzgerald, but he's another year older. Besides Jared Veldier, their offensive line is subpar. John Abraham had a holdout. He's back, but is he all there? Tyrann Mathieu, he's iffy for week 1, coming off the torn ACL. And like I said, they do have Patrick Peterson, but is Tyrann Mathieu going to be healthy for week 1? And even if he is playing week 1, is he at 100%? And I think Carson Palmer is going to blow up this year, especially with competition behind him and 4th-round pick Logan Thomas, who looked great during the preseason. And a mediocre quarterback that now has competition behind him. That's a bad recipe for failure. So I think the Cardinals will regress, and they will not be making the postseason.
Yeah, Logan Thomas might make Palmer play a little bit better because he might be playing for a job and paycheck.
Yeah.
So hopefully that would be the case, but I have them going 7-9 this year, regressing a little bit.
I have the Cardinals regressing as well. Arizona, their offense is really just going to lack. I personally have them 7-9 as well.
Yeah.
All right. Another surprising team is Philadelphia. I mean, they're going to regress. Nick Foles had a great year last year. He's not going to do that this year. Sure, they have Riley Cooper. Jeremy Maclin coming back huge. They have a nice line led by Evan Mathis. LaShawn McCoy's going to be nice, but he's not going to have an all-world year like he did last year. He's going to have a good year, but he's not going to be Roger Craig. He's going to regress. I think the releasing of Deshaun Jackson was the dumbest decision in the entire offseason. Big mistake. Deshaun Jackson's going to light it up with RG3 in Washington. That's a huge loss for Philadelphia. And on defense, guys like Connor Barwin, D'Amico Ryans, Brandon Boykin, they're not going to have the same kind of success that they did this year. Too many guys had, career years, and they're not going to do that. And kicking is a problem as well, which is a bigger problem than you think. Kicking can kill you in close games, so I think the Eagles will be the team that will regress.
I've never seen Connor Barwin have 2 good years in a row. No. And D'Amico's a pretty good ball player, but we'll see how that turns out. A team I had that wasn't going to do as good was the Dolphins.
I hate Ryan Tannehill. He's not. I hate him. He's terrible. He is one of the 10 worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL, and maybe in the bottom 5. He is the most overrated quarterback in the entire NFL. I'm 100% sold on that.
Well, he's from A&M, isn't he?
Yes.
He's the anti-Manziel?
Yes, he was the guy before Manziel that he stunk. He stunk. He really stunk.
But he was 6'4" and 250.
Which, of course, that means everything.
Yeah, he's a good quarterback.
What's another one of your surprising regressors?
Well, I had the Chiefs. I thought the Chiefs were going to be good.
I agree, the Chiefs.
But after looking at it, I think the Chiefs are going to have some issues this year.
Their defense, the loss of Brandon Flowers is a big mistake on their part. Tamba Hali, Justin Houston are going to regress. Their offensive line has a hole at right tackle. Don't like their tight ends. Jamar Charles was the best running back in the league last year, like LaShawn McCoy. He's not going to have an all-world year again. He will slightly regress. Still be good, but slightly regress. No great receivers, even counting Dwayne Bowe. Alex Smith with this new contract, I still don't see it. I'm not a big fan of Alex Smith either. So I think the Chiefs will regress. They'll still go 8-8 because they have a lot of talent, especially Eric Berry coming back from injury at safety. But I think the loss of Brandon Flowers is going to lose 2 games for him. I think he was huge last year for the Chiefs.
That's right. And, of course, I have the Jets as having issues again. Because they have issues. They have poor management, lack of communication, and that always spells
Well, you can't blame that on Rex Ryan. I love Rex Ryan. I think he's a great coach. That is owner and general manager problems. Geno Smith was horrible.
Yeah, but if they give you bad stuff to work with, you have bad stuff to work with.
That team has talent, especially on the defensive end. Mohamed Wilkerson has been great. Sheldon Richardson, was the best defensive rookie in the league last year, but their secondary lacks big time. Their secondary lacks big time. Their line is subpar. You're still going to have a quarterback controversy. If you have two quarterbacks in New York, you're always going to have a controversy. Geno Smith, Michael Vick. They're going with Geno. Vick will get his time. I do like the additions of Eric Decker. I think Chris Johnson's going to be the leading rusher in the NFL this year. I think he's going to run for 1,400 yards. I think he's going to bounce back and show that 2,000-yard running Chris Johnson. But I still don't think it's going to matter. That team still has a quarterback and on the offensive line. Besides Decker, they have no real receivers. So yes, the Jets will be subpar.
I agree with you.
They'll have another 8-8 season, I expect.
Yeah.
All right, now moving on from some contenders and regressors to guys that could change the whole league. The impact of rookies, the most hyped rookie draft class since who knows when, maybe the most ever, maybe since 1984, with the Elways and the Kellys and the Dan Marinos.
Well, or the Bushes and the Vince Youngs and Marios.
04. But this rookie class was, of course, led by four dominant rookies. Jadeveon Clowney at South Carolina, now with Houston. Johnny Manziel of Texas A&M, now with Cleveland. Teddy Bridgewater of Louisville, now with Minnesota. And Blake Bortles of UCF in Jacksonville. Now, of those three, they're quarterbacks, and none of them are starting week one. In fact, the only rookie starting week one is a second-round pick, Derek Carr, in Oakland because of the injured Matt Schaub due to his elbow. But we'll start off with the first overall pick in Houston, Jadeveon Clowney. He is the most hyped defensive prospect and the most highly viewed since Warren Sapp.
Yeah, and I think everyone in Houston is hoping that he'll play up to his ability. And
well, in the preseason, he's shown with a pair of sacks, multiple tackles for loss, including a huge play against Atlanta. Blew up the running back, almost looked like that Michigan play-esque on against Michigan in the Outback Bowl. But if they line him up on the same side as J.J. Watt, that'll be huge for Houston and open up a lot of channels for their other pass rushers.
Exactly. And how about Bortles?
Well, he's not scheduled to start week
Bob
one.
Bortles?
Blaine Bortles, Biff Bortles.
Not Bill Bortles?
Biff Bortles. Blake Bortles, the most boring man in the world. I'm sorry. I'm not a believer in Blake Bortles at all. I'm not sold. I mean, his whole draft stock was based on one great game. And because if you look at the rest of his stats at UCF, they're good. But I'm sorry, if I'm drafting a guy third overall out of Central Florida, a team that went, like 10-2, they better be putting up like Colt Brennan and Hawaii numbers. You know, Case Keenum numbers at Houston. He better be putting that up at UC if I'm drafting him third overall out of there. I'm not a believer in him, and that's why he's not starting week one. They're going with the veteran Chad Henne, which I think is the right decision.
I agree with you. I think he was overrated. But I think Bridgewater's going to be good.
Teddy Bridgewater will be the second best quarterback of this draft class. I'm in love with Derek Carr. I think he's going to be a star. But Teddy Bridgewater kind of reminds me of Philip Rivers. He's going to be a very good player. His skill set does not match Philip Rivers, but he will have the same type of career as Philip Rivers. Rivers, of course, has a really strong arm, but sometimes throws picks. Teddy's not going to throw picks. He's a very accurate passer. But his arm strength, people knock him for that. He's not a runner, but he's agile. He can move in the pocket. But he's going to have that type of career. He's going to be very nice. He's not starting week one. They're going with Matt Castle, which I think is a mistake. Teddy, I think, has outplayed Castle. But Teddy will be a very nice player. And the fact that he lasted till the last pick of the first round, 32nd, huge mistake. And I think if he would have ticked off one more, I don't think Ryan Mount would be a Texan because I think the Texans would have drafted Teddy Bridgewater.
I agree with you.
And then moving on to the last and most exciting rookie in the entire world, Johnny Manziel. We can go on for this for an hour, but we'll try to limit the hype. He's not starting week one. Brian Hoyer is in Cleveland, but he will start at some point this year.
I think he will when he gets in. He'll be a difference maker. He's that good, and I think the people in Cleveland will be very happy with him.
Well, remember, it's the preseason. It doesn't mean a thing. The Indianapolis Colts went 0-4 this preseason, and you're still not hating on Andrew Luck. Calm down. It's just the preseason. I'm sorry. It's not a big deal. Tom Brady had a 2-interception game this preseason. It's not a big deal. It's the preseason. They're getting warmed up. That's why they play 4 times. So calm down about he had a horrible preseason. Same for Warrior. Horrible preseason. Calm down.
Yeah. Now, we need to get on to another area, and that's off-the-field issues.
The serious part of the NFL.
Right.
The off-the-field issues, we'll take a look at the 3 biggest cases, ranging from pot to DWIs to beating your wife. And we'll start off with the pot, Josh Gordon.
His game's going to pot.
Yeah. This is his 3rd bust for marijuana since coming in the NFL. Had problems at Baylor, and that's why he got kicked out into obviously getting taken in a supplemental by Cleveland a few years back. But this is his 3rd deal with marijuana in the NFL. They suspended him for 16 games. Of course, the appeal tried to say it was secondhand smoke, which is not a great defense anyways. Didn't pan out. 16 game ban. He's out for the year, which is a huge loss for Hoyer or Manziel, whoever will be the starting quarterback in Cleveland. But obviously, this guy has a problem with marijuana.
Exactly. He has some real issues, and it's kind of sad. Hopefully, he'll be able to bounce back and get in the league and do fine.
Well, remember, this guy last year led the NFL in receiving. He almost had 1,700 receiving yards last year. Led the NFL by almost 200 yards, and didn't even play the first 2 games. I mean, he could have had 2,000 yards pretty darn easily.
Right.
So this is a big. It's not obviously a big loss for the NFL in talent, but you got to hope for the guy that he works his problems out.
Who's another problem?
Well, I think we all know the biggest problem, which is Ray Rice. The Baltimore tailback suspended 2 games. Video showing he knocked his wife out unconscious in a casino elevator. Video looks very incriminating. Handled horribly by the NFL and Roger Goodell. Only gets 2 games, and then right after now they have the stiffer penalties, 6 games for first and second offense of domestic violence is a lifetime ban. But you brought up a very nice point about Ray Rice. If he's hopefully this doesn't happen, but if he does it again, if he gets busted again, does he get a 6-game ban or does he get a lifetime ban? And that's a question that the NFL needs to ask, because if he does it again, you have to ban him for life. And of course, he's going to throw a fit saying, "No, this is my first offense under the new policy. I should get 6." And it probably won't happen again, but you got to hope it doesn't. But this shows the problem in the NFL of Josh Gordon gets caught for smoking pot. It's legal recreationally in 2 states, and in almost half the United States, it's legally medically. Yet Ray Rice knocks his wife unconscious, or fiancée, and he gets 2. So you're telling me smoking pot is 8 times worse than beating your wife? That the math is not right at all.
That's correct, and that's why they put in that 6-game suspension. But it will be interesting to see what transpires if he does it again. Of course, if he does it again, people will be clamoring for him to be suspended for a year at least, because everyone's aware that he did it the first time, and that was only a week before this policy was installed. How about this other guy, McDonald?
Ray McDonald, the 49ers defensive lineman, a few days ago, 3 days actually after they came out with the new harsher domestic violence penalties, it came out that he hasn't been officially charged yet, but obviously he posted bail, got out on all the deals, but we'll have to see if he gets suspended or if anything comes to fruition or if it's just a false claim. We'll have to see, but it definitely doesn't look good for him. And the 49ers are already dealing with problems. We already know about Aldon Smith getting a 9-game ban for his various problems. You could have rap sheets that long on Aldon Smith, but not only this is bad for him, it's not good to do what he's done, obviously, but for the 49ers, that's also a huge loss because they're already dealing with some depth problems.
And this will be interesting to see how how clubs draft people in the future. They'll probably look more into their personal lives and see whether or not that they're going to lose a guy for a year or 6 games in the future. And so these people that want to play for the NFL have to remember that they're working for an employer, and they have to follow the employer's rules.
Well, the deal is that you're right. During the draft process, NFL teams are going to really look at these backgrounds harder. I mean, Aaron Hernandez was a serial killer, and they drafted him virtually, it looks like. And don't tell me they didn't get somewhat of an idea this guy's creepy. So I think sometimes teams just don't care. They just want the football player because he's
They
good.
want to win.
And sadly, it's now starting to come out that some of these guys never should have that opportunity.
That's right.
Alright.
So what about the big thing about can they do it?
The Seattle Seahawks, the reigning Super Bowl champs, of course, absolutely dominated the Broncos. It was probably the biggest display of dominance in Super Bowl history, even worse than the 49ers 55-10 over the Broncos way back when.
Peyton couldn't even complete a pass hardly.
Yeah, Peyton looked completely overmatched. But on the topic of
the
the
receivers were overmatched.
Well, the topic of the Seahawks repeating, no, I don't see them repeating, because their defense was great. Yes, their defense was great, but is it an all-time great? Is it a top 3 defense of all time? No, it's not as good as the Ravens and Ray Lewis in the early 2000s. It's not the '86 Bears led by Mike Singletary in the fridge. It's not those great defenses, and so it will regress. Some of those guys had career years. They will regress. The loss of Brandon Browner is huge. Their offense is, I'm sorry, that offensive line is not good. They lost Golden Tate, which is a bigger loss than you people think. Marshawn Lynch is, I don't know if he's going to have that same type of year. And Russell Wilson's is a nice quarterback, but he seems to me overhyped. I think he reminds me of Matt Ryan. A shorter Matt Ryan. He's not Peyton Manning. His team was led by defense. He was like Terry Bradshaw in the 70s with the Steelers. He gets credit for his defense's amazingness.
Exactly, and it'll be interesting to see how the Seahawks go this year. Their defense isn't going to be quite as good, but that's what got them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with them.
Yeah. All right, now that is our hot button issues for this NFL season. Now, for all you 30 teams, all you 30 fans, don't worry. Like we said, we're not just talking about the big sexy names. We're talking about every one of the teams. We're overviewing and giving records for every one of the NFL clubs, and we'll tell you why we think, and then we'll get into our playoff and Super Bowl picks.
First of all, we're going to start with the very popular team.
We'll start off with the sexy team. The AFC East, the New England Patriots. I have them going 12-4 for 2 humongous reasons. Tom Brady and Tom Brady.
I don't have them going 12-4. I have them going 10-6.
But they're still winning the division, aren't they?
Oh, they're going to win their division.
Handling.
And they're going to win it because of one reason, and that's Tom Brady. However, if he gets hurt, they have some issues.
Jimmy Garoppolo has looked really good, though.
But he is completely unproven.
They'll still win the division. The rest of that division stinks.
So bad.
All right, now we're moving on to the rest of those 3 other stinky teams, the New York Jets. And I really want to hear your thoughts on the New York Jets.
There's only one thing worse than the New York Jets.
The Jacksonville Jaguars?
No, 3-day-old fish. Don't stink quite as bad, but no, I have them going 5-11, basically because they have management problems. And their quarterbacks, they have some pretty good quarterbacks, but management translates